Hey guys, what's going on? This is Michael, one half of the Can't Get Right couple. My wife is actually out of town in New York for graduation for her brother. But I'm really thrilled today because we have a special guest today that is, for being married, a lot of times the married couples, they don't really have their finances together. So because of that, marriages break up, homes destroyed, and there's so many different things that actually truly happen. And so I actually have a friend, Damon Jennings. He's actually going to just kind of talk about, the importance of, planning and, getting the finances right for marriages and stuff like that. Not just for today, but for the long run and everything. So welcome to the show. He's actually the first guest we've actually ever had on the show. So
wow.
So I'm honored. I'm honored to have our first guest.
Wow, I didn't know that. Now, yes. No pressure, right?
No pressure at all. It's just why do you think so many couples or marriages don't actually really address the finances like it really should be?
Well, that's a very good question. And first, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on here.
Okay.
Glad to be the first guest. Hopefully, I can bring some information that's going to be helpful. And the fact is that, sadly, when people get together and they get married and they plan the marriage, they talk about everything but the important things.
Okay.
The first thing that's important about a marriage is learning how to communicate.
Got to.
How to communicate, how to talk to each other, how to listen to each other. And that is the building block in any relationship. But in a marriage, it's especially important to learn how to communicate. People say they love somebody when they get married, but they don't understand that love is an action word.
Okay.
Love is a verb. It takes work.
It does.
It takes a lot of work. I know you've been married 20 years.
20 years.
I'm going on 19 in March.
Well,
hey, baby, love you.
Congratulations to you.
Yes, but anytime you reach that 10-plus year mark, you know that it's work. You have to continually learn how to have a happy marriage.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to, in my opinion, you have to actually plan to have a happy marriage. You have to work on it, and it has to be your daily mindset that we're going to be happy. So what do we have to do as a couple to be happy? So
in the worst of times, that's ultimately important.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that. However, communication takes a lot of forms, but the most important communication, if you ask me, is having that conversation about finances, about money, about what your thoughts are, what your beliefs are. Because when we grow up, we're taught or we're not taught things about money.
Yeah.
And
was taught a whole lot myself, so you make a good point right there.
Exactly. I wasn't taught much about money. My mother and her mother and father, we just didn't get the information. We're middle-class Americans.
Yes.
And wealthy families have a coach. They have somebody that comes in and helps them, and then they pass that information on to their generations.
Okay.
Middle-class families typically don't have that. And it's not a bad thing, but we need to have it if we're going to learn the best ways to be successful with our own finances. But if I grow up without any information, and my wife grows up without any information, or my future wife grows up without any information, and then we go to get married, that's two people without information sharing a life, sharing a budget, sharing their finances. You melt everything into one big pile when you get married.
Don't say that budget word too loud. Some people don't like to hear that word budget, but it's needed though.
It's needed.
It really is.
Needed.
Yep.
And if you don't have a budget, then you're flying by the seat of your pants. And a budget simply has you direct where your money goes. You tell your money where it goes. It doesn't tell you.
Okay.
And if you don't understand that, it is. It is. And we have a bunch of budgeting software where we help our clients say, okay, have a budget for your life, for your family, because I can't plan for tomorrow if I don't know what's going on today.
That's true.
And if we grow up like that and then we get married and then we put all of our resources together, but neither one of us know how to make them work for us, then we are sort of flying by the seat of our pants with the family, with our finances together. And if I don't know and you don't know and the money's not where it needs to be, then I get mad about something, you get mad about something. Or if you go out and buy you a new fishing rod and she comes home with a new coach purse,
Yeah.
and you don't talk about it and you don't plan it, what sort of fights happen?
Oh, that's bad. That is. So I mean, it's just like, you know, the Bible even talks about being evenly yoked.
Equally yoked, exactly.
So if you have one that, you know, and that means to be equally yoked all the way around, full circle.
Yes.
So therefore, because of that, it even needs to be with the finances. You don't need one person to be way up here. You need people to be even on the same page.
Yes.
You know, their knowledge and where they're going as a couple, as a family, in order to make sure that their money is working for them. You know what I'm saying?
And to make them
Yeah.
successful,
And
and to eliminate fights. Like you led with, 90% of arguments, disagreements in marriages are because of what?
Finances.
Money.
Yep.
Money.
And you know what? That's funny that you mentioned that, because even when arguments start over finances, you might start fussing over finances and you guys have never, then that allows a person to go out and start doing other things because that was the root of the problem. Well, me and her, that's all we ever do is fight. I'm not happy and I'm going out, I'm going to do other things. But if the issue of finances would have probably been fixed, then maybe the person wouldn't be in where I don't want to talk to her. I'm going to spend my time outside the house. So it's just when you really dig deep into it, you can see so many issues that can arise from the root of not being able to plan financially.
And you said the word root a couple of different times, but think about it like a plant, like a thistle. I don't know what you think about thistles, but if you grab them, they have the thorns. They're
Yes.
kind of pretty to look at,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not really great for the yard, and then they take over.
They do.
So if you plant a thistle, or if you have a thistle that's planted and the root gets good and strong, and then it grows into a very strong plant, and it sprouts thistle plants, you're quickly going to have an area taken over by thistles.
Okay.
So think about that thistle as finance problems, as money problems, and that root gets good and firm and built in, and all you do is have those little arguments about money, and then that plant grows, and then what does it produce? It produces arguments about this, that, the other, everything, and it gets to a point, like you said, where you don't even want to look at
Oh, you know, yep. I just want to just not be at home right
I just want to go somewhere else.
Yep, and then it's just, it's people forget how easy it is for other things to creep into your marriage from stuff like finance. You know what I'm saying?
A crack.
Yeah.
If there's a crack in the armor, it's easy for other things to get into that crack, and then that crack to grow.
Yep.
And then before you know it, your shield's in two pieces.
It's gone. And you look back and be like, wow, where did this come from? And then,
If I had the knowledge to fix that one initial crack.
just plug in that.
It's sad that when people go to get married, they get the wedding official.
Okay.
They get the place where they're going to get married, inside, outside, destination wedding, in summer, in the fall. They plan that.
Everything.
They plan the dress. You've seen the TV shows about the dresses and do
Everything.
you want this way?
Yeah.
They plan where they're going to go on vacation. They plan where they're going to live, where the kids are going to live. We've had kids
Everything.
yet.
Yeah,
But
I know,
they're
right?
planning where the kids are going to go to school. They're
Yep.
planning all these things, and yet they don't sit down and have a conversation about money.
They don't.
What do you know? What do I know? What do we believe? We're putting everything together, so this pool that we're creating better be able to sustain us now and long term.
Oh, that's awesome, because people fail to forget there's life after that day of wedding.
Once you say I do, that's when the work starts.
Yeah, that's when the real work
It's easy to say I do.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
easy to
part.
say that.
Yep.
But when you say I do, that means that I do plan to care for you long term. I do plan to do right by you. I do plan to do right by my family. I do plan to make sure that we have what we need to be successful.
Yes.
I do means that you're doing all these things. But if you're neglecting your finances, you don't.
Oh, it's crazy, because we need finances every day. You know what I'm saying?
Money. Money isn't everything, and I don't want anybody to believe that I'm sitting there hopping on money.
Absolutely. Yes.
However, if you don't have money and your electric department comes to see you, are you going to have lights?
I don't care how much you in love.
If you don't have money and your car doesn't have gas, can you get to work?
I don't care how much you in love. I don't care how many times you said I do.
If you don't have money, if you don't have these things in place, we can go down the list of things that can be dangerous. And then you, like I said, have that chink, you have that crack, and then all sorts of things pile in and they pile on, and I'm mad about a bunch of different things. And it all started with me looking at that budget saying, we done paid our bills and we ain't got nothing left over.
Nope.
Bologna again.
Bologna again.
Top ramen again. But we do the wedding planning.
Yep.
We sit down with an official and say, help us learn what we need to learn about weddings, about being married, about being equally yoked.
Yeah.
But we don't learn about what we need to know about money.
Yep. That's true.
How do we grow it? How do we keep it? What are your thoughts about it? What are your plans? What do you have with your job? What do I have with my job? What information is out there to help us put our future kids in college, to help our future kids have a business?
Yep.
Where are we going to retire? How do we get there?
It's so much, man.
There's so many different things that you
Yeah.
need to know about where your money is. If you plan, it's a destination. Your marriage, love is a verb, and your marriage is a destination. You want to be married a long time and go somewhere. You want to retire on the beach house. You want to retire in the mountains. You want to do something so the time that you're working during your formative years, during the first few years that we're married, and I say first few, that's 10, 20 years, because if you get married early, you have a long time till you retire.
Yeah.
And then when you retire, you want to be able to sit up with your significant other, love where you are, and not have to worry about working somewhere else, not have to worry about doing things that will keep you from enjoying the time that you had, that you built. And imagine the two scenarios. First scenario, you get married and you spend a long time working real hard, but you never have that conversation about money. You don't know where it's going. You've had arguments along the way. And even if you stay married through all the arguments and you go to retirement age and you're still working, how happy a life is that for you and your significant other?
That ain't good.
Situation number one.
When you guys should be enjoying yourself now.
Second situation. You talk with somebody during your wedding planning, during your marriage planning, and you include the financial knowledge aspect of it. What do we do to make sure we're moving towards our positive goal financially? And you get on a plan. You start having that conversation. And then the same path, you get married and you stay married at that time, and then you go to retire. But because you've made strategies from the beginning, when you go to retire, you have what you need to sustain you in whatever fashion you want. Yep. If you want to live on $100,000 a year, you've done what you need to through that time.
You lay the foundation.
Exactly. And then it's there, and you go wherever you want. You be that couple that's in the RV traveling around.
I hope that's me.
Traveling around the country. But how do you get there?
You got to lay that foundation.
You got to plan.
And you know, I think another thing to really make mention is, regardless if you and your spouse are like, you know, money is everything to you guys, and, you know, you don't be like, well, we're happy, we don't need a whole lot of money. I get that. I really get that. But the bottom line is, you still have to have some type of financial plan in place to even live the kind of life that you even say you want to live. Even if it's the most basic life, you still don't want to keep going from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. That gets old. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to do that. No one wants to get, you know, when you 18 years old, you don't envision yourself at 60, 65 years old still working. So you still, regardless of money, you know, if you're more worried about, you know, just the love you guys have and you guys are just happy together, that's fine. Still develop some type of budget, some type of plan for even what you have going on in your life. Because I'm telling you, down the road, it will come in handy. I have a question for you. So was there like a changing moment in your life that really woke you up? And you said, hold up, something's not right here. I need to refocus my life. I need to get my finances in better shape. I need to work out my finances.
There was a huge moment, and you said a couple of different things that I want to touch on while we have the time.
Okay.
Especially about growing and being able to retire and not working when you're in your 60s. But that is kind of what led me down this journey, down this path, and made this my mission.
Okay.
Because growing up, like I said, I wasn't taught about money. I didn't know anything. And I did the traditional, go to college, get you a good job, and you get a 401k with that job, and then that's supposed to take you into retirement.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about the 401k. I didn't know anything about how it worked. The HR person said, fill out this these questions.
Yep.
Oh, you're in the blue box.
And then you feel good because you
What's
got
in the
a
blue?
401.
Exactly. Yes.
I got a 401k.
I showed you. I got a 401k.
I have a portfolio.
Yes, a 401k. And I told everybody, yes, 401k. I have a 401k. Hey, Bob, got that 401k. All right.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the inner workings about the 401k. And I'm not going to go into that right now. But if you want to know about the inner workings of how a 401k might not be the only thing you need to depend on for your retirement, we can have that conversation.
Yes.
But I found out that the 401k wasn't necessarily going to take me into retirement. I found out that I wasn't prepared. I found out that I didn't have a plan, and I wasn't sure how, number one, retirement was going to happen, and then retirement wherever and however my wife and I wanted it to happen was going to happen.
Okay.
I was one of those people that was on the track without knowing to be 60 plus, 70, should be playing one grandkids,
okay,
working at one of these big box stores.
Yep.
And it kills me when I see these people with the silver hair and they have the back brace on and the knee pads and they're pulling that
It's
heavy
sad.
dolly thing
It is.
and they're stocking shelves.
That's sad.
And,
It is.
and that's because they didn't plan. Nobody sat down with it. Number one, when you're working for a company, you're working for somebody else.
Yes, you are.
And you're limited as to what you get paid.
Yes.
You're never going to get paid what you're worth working for somebody else.
That's true.
Unfortunately, that's the bottom line. Number two, companies don't, it's not, I want to make sure I'm not saying it wrong. They don't care about their employees. They care about them being healthy and being able to come to work. But if I break my leg and I have a corporate job and it gets an infection and I can't work for 6 weeks, is that company going to wait around for me to be fully able to work again to have that position taken care of?
Probably not. A lot of people got to, everybody is, you can be replaced.
Exactly.
So if you can't come back,
then, hey, sorry, Tom. Somebody else has your job.
Because there's somebody else on the other end who's like, we got to get this job done.
Exactly. We have to get this quota filled. We have to get this number filled. And if he's not there, we need somebody there.
That's true.
So your job isn't secure. Number three, I don't know how many of your viewers are old school, but like the baby boomers, they were born between 64 and 46. A lot of their parents had pensions, and some of them had pensions. Pensions are companies saying, we are glad that you're working for us for the entirety of your career, and we're going to give you a little bit of money, some of the salary that you've earned over the years, in return for the rest of your life, which is awesome. But pensions are a thing in the past. Okay. The baby boomers got out of pensions and into 401ks, and the companies, the corporations, had the shift of making sure that their employees had a retirement on their budget to making sure that the employees took care of it themselves.
Yeah.
And the 401k was introduced, and it was billed as a way for you to put money for yourself, and you're not depending on anything, and it's you, and we have these great companies, and we built it up, and we're doing this because we love you, and we're here for you, and we want you to be happy. However, if I'm not paying you, if you're putting your own money into your own plan, how much does that free up for my capital, for my budget as a business?
Not a lot.
No, it frees up a lot for the business.
Yeah.
It frees up a lot for the business.
It
doesn't do much for the employee.
Exactly,
because it takes it off the business and puts it onto the employee. And if you don't know about it, then you're going to suffer. And they don't have anybody that comes in and says, this is how it works.
Okay.
This is what you need to do with it. These are the penalties and the fees and the withdrawals and the 59 and a half and all the other inside. Because they don't know. But they tell you have a 401k, you're going to retire, Bob. And then you get that feeling like you're going to be able to retire. The company loves me. They provided a 401k. And they even matched a little bit. So they love me. Great. I'm going to keep on working. And then I work and work and work and work and work. And then I go to retire. And I realize, based on the structure, that 401k is not going to take me to my golden years and into my final moments and leave a legacy for my family and have my children and their children a foundation, a rock to start off for financial success.
Yep, that's true.
You get that 401k, you open the envelope, and it looks more like a 104k or a 204k. And, okay, baby, what do we do? I got one, you got one, it's not going to be enough. And we aren't going to be able to travel like we want to. We aren't going to be able to help the kids start their businesses. I know that sometimes in marriages, the father of the bride pays for the wedding, but if the father of the bride is broke, then the wedding couple is going to go into debt for these loans to pay for this wedding, $20,000 for a wedding, and then you aren't talking about how we're going to make this work, and then you get down that path to retirement with the 401k. And it's a vicious circle, and you end up in your retirement years having to work real hard, not having time to appreciate and love the time and the person that you've built with, and the arguments can still happen. The arguments can still be there because we don't have the money to do what we want to do. We don't have the money to travel. I don't have the money for my medication.
People do it every day, man. They don't have medication is going up. That's a big business now.
Yes, and as we get older, our cost of living isn't going down.
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up. What we spend is going up,
Yep.
But your income is going down.
Going down. Yep.
If not totally eliminated.
That is true.
And if you haven't put something together to offset that, if you're not hedging against loss, if you're not hedging against not being able to retire, then you're going to get to that point and you're like, well, what do we do now?
Okay.
And then you know what the answer is? Can I see your receipt?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, can I stock these shelves?
Yep.
And it's sad. But it all starts with money. And it all starts with having that conversation about money. When you say, I do, or I will, even before you say I do.
Yep.
When you say yes, I get on my knee and I open that box and I show you that ring. Baby, will you marry me? The first question that she should ask is, hold up, did you buy that ring on credit? Or did you save up? How did we get to this ring? Because this is a very important financial decision that you're making. And if I'm making it with you, then I want to know whether you're thinking that credit's going to be the way, whether you put the money away for this, whether this is something that we can afford or that you can afford. And let's look at making sure that this isn't going to be the initial crack in that foundation that we're building. Because if it is, then yes, let's get married. Oh, that's great. And then that crack grows and divide grows.
Yep.
And grows.
Well, you know it.
There's a client that one of my colleagues had, and when they sat down and done the budget, the plan, there was a shortfall of a couple of $1,000. And on paper, it said this. But in reality, because we say, well, this is the information you gave us. Does this look right? No, it looks like about $500 short. We are down $500 somewhere. Yeah. And it's like, well, where is it? And unfortunately, the wife had to say, well, I have this credit card that you didn't know about.
The truth, see?
Yeah.
People got to be honest about that stuff. Man.
And what kind of problem does that have? What kind of problem does that start? You had a credit card I didn't know about, and you've been spending it, and now we have $500 in the hole, and I'm making the money, and you're spending it, and you can see how that spirals out of control.
There you go.
But if you had that conversation when, will you marry me? Well, I will, but we need to talk about everything. We need to sit down and plan financially, because if I'm marrying you, if I'm connecting with you, I want to make sure that we both know where our money's going to go. Yep. If we're going to have kids, we need to put money away for the kids. I know you're working here now, but you want to do something where you're going to get a bigger or better return. You might want to start a business. So how do you start a business? You have to put some money away to start that business. Yep. I know that I want to go in, I'm a nurse now, but I want to be a nurse practitioner, bring a little bit more, help people a little bit more. So how do we do that? Do we go get a student loan, or do we find the money? Do we save the money and make a plan? These are all the things, right? When you say, will you marry me? Those are the questions that need to come right after that.
Honesty and communication.
Honesty and communication about the right things.
There's enough classes and stuff out here, for people to take, books and like stuff like that. So I mean, even you just gotta educate yourself, people. You really do. And as a couple, you really want to educate yourself so you guys can know. So. Hey, we really appreciate you.
I appreciate that. I wanted to. You said there's plenty of information out there. Yeah. There are plenty of books out there. However, we know that most people aren't going to go to a book.
Exactly.
So you need a coach. Like when you work out, you need a coach. Instead of a book, call me up, shoot me a personal message. Let me start the conversation with you. Let me help you get on that path. You don't need to go look it up. We've done the heavy lifting. We found the information.
What's your phone number?
My phone number is 302-0760. You can get me on Facebook at Damon L. Jennings TN. I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
You can find me, I think it's Damon Jennings. I'm not as adept with this social media thing, so I'm having a team coach me and help me get better with that. So if you're not good with something, you need a coach.
Okay. You could just update me with that when you know for sure what it is for sure. And
I certainly will.
And I'll just add that to the description too, so people actually know really how to really contact you. So appreciate you guys tuning in today. I think we got some good things out of Mr. Jennings. And I mean, the bottom line is what he's trying to get to is just have a plan, people. Because if you don't plan, then you're probably going to fail. And so just plan and just be smart about it.
If you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
There you go. So you heard that from the guy. That's Mr. Jennings. That is good.
Well, I certainly appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
Look forward to doing more with you guys.
To coming out and doing that. So, and I actually look forward to listening to this with my own wife. So
me too.
You know what I'm saying?
She might think, "Oh, you got some sense."
Oh yeah, he got some. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And this has been the Can't Get Right Couple -1. Thank you guys.